Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hansel. As you can see from the thumbnail, you already know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make an ocean cake. Here is the little backstory. I used Photoshop to create an ocean cake upload last year. Since then, I have received several inquiries whether I'm going to make it real. By the time, I had never thought that I would actually make it a real craft. However, that's not the end of the story. Instead of making an ordinary cake, I like to make my life more difficult. What I really mean is I like to challenge difficult tasks. I want to take a further step so that the single piece can be taken out, and not only you can glimpse from the outside, you can also peek from the inside. Before I start, let me explain the thought process behind it and how I'm going to do it. There are several ways to do it, but I will just highlight two options here. First option, you make the whole stuff and cut it by using a big saw. But it will be extremely difficult and leaving a lot of mess behind it, risking of breaking it and leaving a huge cutting gap. Second option, you do it separately. No cutting gap and no risk of breaking it. The result of the single piece will be seamlessly fitting into the cake, hopefully. Therefore, I prefer the second option. So, here's the cake board. All I have to do is cutting out the single piece, and then we can start making the base from it. Alright, let's start the work. Alright, the base is completed and dried now. Meanwhile, I have also picked out humpback whales and sailboats. The whales are completely fine. However, the sailboats have been failing several times. Each time I try to figure out the problem and try to change the settings, rotating the angles, but none of them succeed. I realized the sail of the boat is too thin in the 3D model and the details are too small to be printed out. It could not support itself during the printing process. I could spend more time buffing up the sail and tweaking other details in the 3D software and spending more time to print again. But I decided to fix it with a much simpler way using a toothpick and a hard paper. Since this boat is very small, I personally don't mind sacrificing the details because you can't see from afar unless you look at it very up close. Our next step is painting all of them and fixing the sailboat. After that, we can start to deal with resin. Alright guys, the base is finished painting. My initial plan was to start pouring the resin after I have painted all of them. But now the plan has changed. Because resin requires a very long time to cure, so I'm going to start now to speed up the progress. I will separate with 3 layers of resin so that I can get rid of the support tube for the wheels, and it will be look amazing. Meaning, this little wheel will be put on top of the first layer, and this big wheel will be put on top of the second layer. And lastly, this sheet will be put on top of the third layer. After pouring the first layer, I'm going to resume back to painting. Let's get it done now. Guys, my worst nightmare, leaking, happened. The resin releases so much heat that it melts the hot glue that I use to hold the plastic mold in position. This is absolutely out of my expectations. This is my first time using resin, and I have never thought in a million years that resin heat can melt the hot glue. I was so afraid that it might spill the entire resin onto the table. It was really a mess. Luckily, I was able to block off the resin from spilling too much by sticking a lot of tissues. I know it looks disgusting right now, and because I'm using a fast dry resin, it started to harden within 2 hours. My thought during that moment is that as long as I'm not spilling all the resin and holding it off until it hardens, that's a win to me. But hey, this is the spirit of experimenting. My strategy is still helpful for separating resin layers. Imagine I fill up the entire mold only to watch it spilling like a broken dam. That would be devastating. Lesson learned. Always use a lot of masking tape. This little piece is not leaking too much because the pressure is not big, and I use a lot of masking tape. But this big one, I only use hot glue on the outside and very little masking tape here. So this is the worst leaking part because the masking tape is not enough to hold the pressure. And the outside, when the resin heat releases, it melts the hot glue and leaks everywhere. I did try out on a smaller scale and it didn't release so much heat. Maybe it's because when I pour it into the mold, the resin reacts with the air and releases heat. Or it's a fast drying resin attribute. Perhaps a slower drying resin won't release so much heat. I don't know. If you know about it, please let me know in the comments or any worst experience leaking you ever had.
A few moments later.
This is still salvageable, and now we don't have to worry about it will leak from the bottom because the resin has become hardened. But still, I have fortified it with even more masking tapes in case anything happens. So let's resume to work. Oh my god, the resin has grown fat. At this point, I'm not even mad at this. This looks so hilarious. The resin releases a big amount of heat and swells up. It expands and pushes outwards. And that's why you see it looks fat now. And there are also some deformities inside the resin. Well, I'm confused now. Is it because the volume is too much and thus causing even more heat? Or because I add another cup of resin after I pour the first bucket of the resin? I don't know. Again, it's all about trial and error. You have to try it out first to know what works and what doesn't. Anyway, this video is not ending here and I'm not going to give up. There are some ways to salvage. I'm going to cut off the excessive parts and sand it out. Let's go. After all the math happened, the ocean cake is finally done. I'm quite satisfied with the results, though it's nowhere near perfection. Throughout the process, I have learned a lot about resin, from molding to sanding. It is a very great experience, even though it takes me some time to figure out what happens and then solve the problem. Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
That's a wrap for this video. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe and comment down below what do you think about this ocean cake. See you on next video.